Move fast, Kate! Run!
Afraid to go in the water? It's not because of Jaws, it's because you're a wuss and your name is Kate.
This isn't happening!
Hydrophobia is a survival adventure game initially released in September of 2010 on the Xbox Live Arcade. This title was weak at launch. It was $15 for 3 hours at best of gameplay, and developers Dark Energy Digital had a lot of pride when responding to critics. The main reason why I hadn't picked up this title until now is because of the cocky reaction of the studio to poor reviews, which incited an even bigger annoying argument. I wrote the game off and just ignored any news about Hydrophobia since it was all just ridiculous drama. So when I was cycling through games on the Xbox Live Marketplace a few days ago, I came across a cheaper $10 Hydrophobia. A little internet digging showed that back in December of 2010, Dark Energy Digital dropped the price by $5 and added a patch called Hydrophobia Pure that reworked the game in response to critic and consumer reviews. I was curious, which may have been the intended ploy, but the new product was different, bigger, and cheaper, so I dropped the Microsoft points and started swimming. Hydrophobia is an episodic game, with this being the first and currently only in the series. The title is about a terrorist organization looking to solve overpopulation by murdering loads of people. You play as Kate, a systems engineer who seems to be the only one capable of or interested in fighting these bad guys. Hydrophobia has 3 acts and it took me about 2 hours to beat, but I don't really feel resolution to the current episode or have any idea where the game is going, and not in that lost cliffhanger kind of way. When I think about episodic adventures, Sam & Max and Tales of Monkey Island come to mind. Yes, the core gameplay elements are totally different, but each episode of Sam & Max wrapped itself up while continuing the larger storyline. Instead, with Hydrophobia, we just get to be continued, and quite abruptly, might I add. Gameplay mechanics vary from matching wavelengths by wiggling the analog sticks around, to parkour but not really wall scaling, to straight out shooting. I'm not a fan of how you can aim while in cover and then just pop up when you choose to shoot. Blind fire would have made more sense in that design aspect, but for some reason they balance out the ease of shooting someone blindly with the inability of Kate to automatically go back into cover. This started a reflex of tapping B every time I wanted to hide after shocking someone in the head, but the controls weren't always responsive and that led to unnecessary deaths. Characters are underdeveloped and I find that makes everything difficult to care about. Maybe Dark Energy Digital expects me to empathize with Kate's fear of the water, but her cries of terror fall a little flat as I just rush her straight in without even dipping in a toe to see if it's cold. It's not right to design just with hope in mind. Developers have to create a storyline that forces the player into feeling and acting a certain way that contributes to the overall plan, not just hope they slow down and feel the character's fear. Half-Life 2 has been the most successful at pacing and emoting using gameplay, and, not like this needs to be said, but Hydrophobia is no Half-Life 2.
His problem.
Come on! Hurry!
Overall, this game is still weak. Pretty, but weak. Gameplay is interesting in the first hour, but the second half of the title is a little boring. The character animations were wonky at times, and the initial hand-holding was suffocating. But hey, at least the navigation maps are pretty sweet. I think Hydrophobia is mediocre, which really isn't a good thing. Even after reworked levels, a price drop, and attentiveness to criticism, gamers will probably still feel like they've paid for the chance to interact with in-game water. The fluid dynamics are definitely different than anything I've ever seen before in-game, but that isn't a strong design leg to stand on. Environments are definitely interactive. Unfortunately, the pacing of the story seems to push past all of these little details. This is a take-it-or-leave-it game. If you're curious, download the trial and give it a shot. If you already have your doubts, just save your $10 and do something more productive with the money. Like, buy $10 worth of plungers.